About 20.
Well, I'm waiting for the go live. It says we're go live. Everybody, I see us on the screen, so everybody wave hello. Wave hello, wave hello, and let's get a TikTok in here. Let's get a TikTok. Okay, I think we're done with the TikTok and we're ready to open the show. So let me get the real music going, and here we go. Dance with me, everybody.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
Thank you to the wonderful voice who introduces me every week. I'm akaRadioRed in the house here. This is Cool Conversations with Creatives. And I have to tell you, I have a lot of guests who say to me, I can't come on your show. I'm not a creative. I said, wait a minute. How do you talk? How do you walk? How do you dress? What does your home look like? What does your office look like? What do you do for relaxation? What are your hobbies? You are creative. You are creating your life, right? Akiva is smiling and Orna and Matthew are smiling. Yes, we're all creative. And a lot of people say, nobody ever called me a creative before. Well, I have, and I'm proud of it. So this is my place on Monday evenings. We are here. It is 5:03 p.m. Eastern time, and we're just going to have a really good time. It's a conversation. I don't do interviews. We talk with each other. There we go. We've got some fun sound effects for today. And let's see now. My goodness, I didn't rehearse my guests. We have something for you, the three of you, to do. Please put up your hands in the shape of the letter L. And on the count of three, you can do it. There, Orna, I'm very proud of you. There you go. And Akiva has his on stage clicked on, and every time he moves, it's going to zoom in. And you look great, by the way. On the count of three, you're going to join me in saying hello, L, L, L. Try to do it just the speed I do. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L. Jordan, they just moved to the top. They are the number one winners of the most in sync LLL in probably the past 3 years. I don't have a banner or a trophy to give you a cake or champagne. We'll do that after the show. LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Leggs. She's our most loyal listener. She's a woman I met, a friend I've had for about 20 years. We met at a dance class. I wasn't teaching it. I was taking it, and we've stayed in touch. She is going to take down almost everything you say, Akiva, and what you say, Orna, and what you say, Matthew. And she's going to send me a little book report at around 6:01 p.m. Eastern time. And she's going to tell me how much she always loves the show. She calls me beautiful, gorgeous lady of red. And she's going to tell me how much she enjoyed the show. So be careful what you say. There you go. Today is already July 21st. I can't believe when New Year's came 10 minutes ago, I said, gee, I hope this year goes slowly. I really want to. And now it's like half past, more half past. It just keeps going and going and going. This is the 202nd day of the Gregorian calendar in 2025. It used to be the Julian calendar. And Akiva, I don't know when your birthday is, but if you're in the second week of October under Julian, you might have missed your birthday because they didn't have it every year. They skipped a couple of days, and Gregorian came along and he said, well, I'm going to be a pope, but I think I'll do some creativity first. So he redesigned the calendar so that we have a leap day every 4 years. Hence, and we got Matthew, we got the October dates back so everybody can have their birthdays. This is also the 29th Monday, and nobody cares about that except me. And we have 163 days left in the year. And I use that as we get to August and September to tell people to get ready for New Year's Eve because the shelves will be empty very soon. A couple of quick birthday notes. I usually do this at the end of the show, but nobody listens, so I'm doing it now. Juno Temple, the actress, is 36 years old today. John Lovitz, you all know him, the SNL character actor, and he's been in so many movies. He's 68. Robin Williams was born today. Late, great, wonderful. Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Good Will Hunting and so many more. Don Knotts, who was Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show, was born today. And today is National Junk Food Day, National Be Someone Day. Orna, I'm counting on you. It's Global Hug Your Kids Day. I hugged my kids virtually. It's Global Comic Sans Day. If you ever use that font, the people make fun of it. Akiva, in the Netherlands, the DJs make fun of the font of the font of the font. I got that all mixed up. And it's Get Out of the Doghouse Day. Matthew, that's for you, okay, just in case. So I'm going to open the show now officially with my opening, I'll call it rhyme. That's all. We're not going to call it a poem or rhyme. So listen up, everybody. Welcome to Cool Conversations with Creatives on our radiant stage, where sparks of insight meet the muses we engage. AKA Radio Red on her Scarlett mic so bright, hosts today, and you know who this is in honor of, the instruments of creativity in her live streaming flight. Today she honors creatives who are stylish, brave, and true, and with panelists whose passions inspire everything they do. Wave when I call your name, Akiva Shapiro. Orna Walters and Matthew Walters gather round, sharing their experiences and wisdom where their creativity is found. Now, here we go. I have a gift for each of you. Akiva, you're first. Born in White Plains with ambition to spare, Akiva's been building with purpose and care. From snow-blowing gigs at the age of 11 to patents in music, he's tech-driven heaven. A self-taught musician with justice in sight, he helps stolen inheritances find the light. Chord board is his gift. We'll hear it later. A game-changing and mind-changing tool, making music creation intuitive and cool. It helps pros work faster, cuts hours down to minutes, and lets new creators add their soul where it fits. No theory required, no steep learning climb. Just your own inner rhyme in your own sweet time. That's Akiva Shapiro. Welcome, Akiva. I hope you enjoyed that.
Wonderful. That was terrific. Thanks, Radio.
You're very welcome. Orna Walters is next. Orna's name means moving light, and bright she grew, with Dr. Seuss and Winnie the Pooh and Oz as her childhood crew. A UCLA grad with honors and flair, she dreamed big dreams beyond despair. She trained in screenwriting, Hollywood and holiday star, with credits on films that traveled so far. But love was the script Orna longed to write, a soulful bond that would feel just right. With Matthew, she found both roots and wings, a love that soars and lovingly sings. Now they coach singles to break free from fear. Their book, Getting It Right, rings wise and clear. Orna, I hope you like that.
I'm tearing up. That was so great.
My pleasure. My
amazing.
pleasure. And Matthew, from Kansas City with dreams held tight, Matthew stepped into the theater's light. A BFA grad with stage in his soul, he sought out the spotlight to make him feel whole. From voiceover booths to casting calls, Matthew stood with the best in union halls. But chasing applause brought fleeting cheer, so he turned within to make his life clear. With yoga and hypno, his path realigned to help others heal both their heart and their mind. Now with Orna, he guides singles to scale love's climb, co-authoring their book, Getting It Right This Time. I hope you like that, Matthew.
Oh, it was beautiful. Thanks, Red.
You're welcome. So gather round with a cool kid sway as we dive deep into creativity today. AKA Radio Red's mic lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. There you go. So, do you all like your opening? What'd you think?
That was fantastic. Unbelievable. That was that. Now, you see, that's the way to start a creative show.
There you go. Thank you very much. And I have a co-writer, a coordinator who helps me with these, who helps to take hundreds of words of bios and condense them into rhyming. I don't call these poems. I call them rhyming intros. Her name is Sylvie. She's French. And I'll tell you later who she is, who she really is. So welcome, everybody. I'm delighted to have all of you. I believe I met all of you at a recent publicity summit. Is that correct? Orna and Matthew and
Yep.
Akiva? Yes. And you all have such interesting backgrounds. And I met you. I was speed booking. I think I speed booked 28 people in 2.5 hours. And I said, okay, Akiva, I have July 21st open. You want it? Yes, Red, I'll be there. And it was that fast. It was that good. So let's go. I tell you what, I'm going to give you each about 3 minutes. This is a 3-minute thought leadership soundbite show. So I want you all to take about that time and tell us, what did I miss in the bio? I tried to cover your life, Akiva, but there's so much more and it's so much richer than just the 12 lines. So why don't you fill us in? I'm going to put you on speaker view. And why don't you fill us in and give us a little more detail about what you do? And officially, welcome to Read My Lips, Akiva Shapiro. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Well, you covered a lot. I think some of those things I haven't really thought of in a while. My snow blowing job when I was 11, which was right on the heels of my paper route. But I think, a couple things that you might find interesting. I'm married. My wife and I have 8 kids. She's got four and I've got four. So we've got a blended family. It's a terrific family. I've got girl, boy, girl, boy. She's got boy, girl, boy, girl. And they're just about paired up in ages. All right. All of them are out of house. Well, at least all of them are off to college one way or another, or graduated, except for the youngest two, that are in high school, last couple of years of high school coming up. And some of the stragglers are still staying at home, when they get the chance to do that. But we have a great, wonderful family. I'm very, very, very blessed about that. I love it. My whole family supports me. So that's exciting, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited about what's going on in my life, in the development. You talked about the five patents, that I've got in music. They're with a new product that I've developed called Chordboard. Hopefully we'll get a chance to take a look at that a little bit later. But I'm really excited about that because it's going to change the world.
It is. I have to get some applause here for you. Hold on. We're going to get. There we go, Akiva. Now, I also mentioned that you have a law practice. How do you find time between music and everything else and the 8 kids and the family and the travels and how do you find time for law?
Well, there's some people actually sleep.
They do? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I've heard that. So that's a place where, generally, that's my give spot. Fortunately or unfortunately. So I do work the chord board. I do work on it in the mornings, early in the mornings, and then I do my law practice all day long, and then I do work on the chord board in the evenings, and of course take the kids out, do what they got to do, teaching my son driving, taking my wife. We just out to dinner. Once in a while. We just got back from vacation. We were in Bar Harbor, Maine. It was very nice, beautiful vacation. And but how do I find time? I don't know. God just kind of just gives it to me. Comes out of nowhere.
We find it, don't we? We find it. We make the time. We carve out, we look at that clock and we say, I need an hour, I need 10 minutes. And I think it's here. It comes from the heart. This is something I want to do. This is a priority. Don't we all have priorities sometime? Yeah, a little bit, a little sleep, a little eat, a little being on a show with Radio Red. You got to make time. Thank you, Akiva. Pleasure to have you on. And now let's go to She Wore Red. I didn't even thank her. Look at you, Orna Walters. Look at you. Orna, I have to put you and Matthew together on speaker view, but Matthew, you're just going to look very interesting while you're interested while she's talking, and she'll do the same for you, I promise. So, Orna, why don't you fill in the blanks for us and welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Red. It's such a pleasure to be here today. And that was the best intro, rhyming or not. That was spectacular. So thank you. I would say, what are you missing? One of my personal biggest accomplishments that I like to squawk about is that I paid my way through college all myself. So I managed to graduate with honors after working full time all the way through college too. So there's a lot of extracurricular stuff I didn't do. So I didn't get into much trouble because I was either working or at school or studying, and not a lot of sleep, as we were talking about how, who wants to do that? One of the other things that I really love is one of our hobbies that I do with Matthew, and I did even before Matthew, which is our organic gardening. So we mostly grow food in our organic garden. We have a ton of veggies, and I've been growing food now close to 30 years, I think. And it's one of my favorite things. And I think it kept my sanity through the lockdown days of the quarantine in 2020. I think also you mentioned that my first name, Orna, means moving light, which is true. My middle name is Tova. And so, that game, Two Truths and a Lie? Do you know that game?
Yep.
Yeah. So you say two truths and then a lie about yourself, and somebody has to guess the lie. So one of my truths I almost always use is that if I was Native American, my name would be Good Moving Light, because my middle name is Tova. And so that translates to the feminine adjective good. So I am Good Moving Light.
That's lovely. By the way, do you know the actress Tova Feldshuh? Have you seen her in many movies?
I know of her, but yeah.
I went to college with her. I won't tell you how many years ago. We were
Oh, wow.
classmates. We were classmates at Sarah Lawrence College in Bronxville, New York, when it was all girls back in the day. So Anyway, thank you very much, Orna. We have a significant delay on your audio and your video, so it looks like you're about 30 seconds behind when you're talking, but it still came across fine and we can hear you just fine. I'm going back to the same picture for Mr. Matthew Walters now. Matthew, would you please fill us in on what you've got in between the blanks on what I introduced you as? Go ahead, Matthew. Welcome.
You did a great job there, Red, of covering almost everything. I would say, one of the things that I am most proud of about myself is in September, I will be 23 years sober. And, I always used to think, and I think this is common with a lot of creatives, that alcohol would help unleash my creativity. But the truth is, so much more creative without it. It's so much better to just be present and to really tap into the creative force. So I don't know if anybody else needs to hear that inspiration.
Everybody needs to hear that in one way or another because we all have things that we do to help us at points in our life. So thank you, Matthew. Go ahead.
You're welcome. And, Orna stole my thing about gardening, so I can't say that.
Well, wait a minute. Wait, what are your favorite vegetables in the garden? Come on, give us a little more. Go ahead.
Okay, so I grow hot peppers. I grow scorpion peppers and jalapenos and serranos and Carolina Reapers. And then I take all those peppers and I throw them in a blender with some apple cider vinegar and some smoked chipotles and grind it all up, and I make hot sauce. And so as we're on the road promoting our book, friends of ours are putting us up in different places, and they all get a bottle of hot sauce when we get into town.
My face is burning just hearing you talk about that. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, and do you label it, Matthew? Do you have a brand that you use?
Well, the brand, if we ever did actually label it, would be kitchenzar.com, because my wife says I'm a control freak in the kitchen. So I'm the kitchen czar.
Is that CZAR or TZAR?
Ooh, good point. I think we spell it CZAR, but
Thought so.
Yeah.
So. I play Words with Friends. I have about 50 active games with about 12 different people. And Zara comes up as a really handy word when you've got a Z. And C is very, very hard to place on a Scrabble board in Words with Friends. C has almost nothing you can put after it. There's no two-letter word and very few three-letter words with C. So when Zara comes up, I'm going to think of you, Matthew. I'm going to think of you. There you go. The hot sauce Zara.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We're going to go to the part of the show now where I've asked each of you to please send me a fictional quote from a TV or a movie fictional character and the attribution or a song lyric. And I'm looking down here, see what we've got. Akiva, of course, has picked a musical quote, and I've done a little research, Akiva. I'm going to read a little background about this, and then I'd like you to please tell us what this has to do with your own creativity. So, Akiva picked a quote from the song is Stairway to Heaven, sung by the English rock band Led Zeppelin, released on November 8th, 1971 on their untitled fourth studio album, which was Led Zeppelin Roman numeral 4 by Atlantic Records. It was composed by the guitarist Jimmy Page, very famous, with lyrics by Robert Plant, and it is widely regarded as one of the greatest rock songs of all time. It's number 3 in the year 2000 by VH1's 100 Greatest Rock Songs. It made Rolling Stone's list. It was the most requested song on FM radio in the U.S. at that time. Did you know that, Akiva?
I did.
And it was never commercially released as a single in the U.S. Interestingly enough, it was never as a single. It was just there. So here is the line. I'd love to sing it, but I would ruin the show. And she's buying a stairway to heaven. Okay, Akiva, I'm putting you back on speaker view. Tell us how you picked this beautiful line. I think Orna and Matthew, Orna's saying, I wish Matthew would say that about me. Anyway, I'm only teasing you. It's a beautiful line. Akiva, what does this have to do with your creativity, separate from the chord board? Talk to me. Go.
Well, I mean, first of all, that song is it's just a classic. It's just a classic song. But I think that the beauty of that song is something that people don't really necessarily understand, and that the song is about the effects of materialism. That's really, what a tremendous part of that song is about. There's this lady, who thinks that all that glitters is gold, all right? And she's buying a stairway to heaven. She thinks that her money is going to get her, into, the promised land, so to speak. And we love this song because it's such a love song. It was probably the first song I ever slow danced to. My wife and I also one time we didn't have any music, and I actually sang the song and we slow danced to it together. Into her ear. And she said it was like, that was like one of the most romantic moments of our time together. Hope she doesn't mind me sharing that.
Oh,
And
you
but
just got the birds singing. That was so beautiful. Go
oh,
ahead.
thanks. But I think the and that's where the contrast comes in. And I think a lot of creativity comes out of contrast. It's talking this whole song is a love song, yet it's talking, it's treated as a love song, but it's talking about materialism. And there's one person's materialism and essentially really, the downfall of materialism. And that's I think the ironic part about the success of this song is it never really was seen for that. And I think that when if you want to grasp into your uh,
I,
mind, when you want to grasp into creativity, what you want to do is you want to look for the things that are different, in the world, and then tap into that and bring that forward. And I think that's probably the reason that I'd sent you that song.
it's absolutely lovely. Thank you so much. I appreciate the memory of the song and I enjoyed looking it up. I'm glad you knew. A lot of times I do lookups on movie and TV quotes and songs, and the people who sent them weren't aware. I've got some really great backstories on some of the most famous movie quotes, but I don't think any of them are here on the show today. So let's go to Orna. And Orna has sent a quote from Nature Boy. Orna, this goes way back farther than you thought it did. It was first recorded in 1948 by Nat King Cole. It was written by Eden Abez, Habez, as a tribute to somebody named Bill Pester who practiced nature mensch and Lebensreform philosophies. It relates to a Los Angeles-based group called the Nature Boys, a subculture of proto-hippies from 1940s. That's where it really started. It was released during the American Federation of Musicians ban of 1948. It still reached the top of the Billboard charts and it sold 1 million copies. Can you imagine a record selling 1 million copies in 1948? Can we even compute what that would be today? Unbelievable. For Nat King Cole, it helped to establish his solo career and introduced him to the white music market. It was a crossover song for him. The song was the subject of lawsuits. There was a Yiddish composer named Herman Yablokoff who claimed it was plagiarized from his song, and I have the Hebrew here. I'm not going to attempt to read it. I can read Hebrew on site, but I'm not going to do this one. The song was called Be Still My Heart. They settled out of court, and the song in 1999 was awarded a Grammy Hall of Fame award, and everybody has sung it. Frank Sinatra, Sarah Vaughan, Tony Bennett, and Lady Gaga did it on their Cheek to Cheek album. And here is the line, I'm going to cry, Orna. This is so beautiful. Beautiful quotes today. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Okay, Orna, you're up. What you got?
I knew it was recorded in 1948 by Nat King Cole. I knew it was a crossover for him and all that. But the rest of the stuff, that was really fascinating. This song really popped for me when the Baz Luhrmann film Moulin Rouge came out, because it is featured throughout the movie. And at that time, I had decided in my life that I actually wanted a great love relationship. And I didn't really know how to go about doing that. Most conventional wisdom says, oh, just find somebody from a good family. And I don't really come from a good family. So I thought, oh, that's scary, because then nobody's going to ever pick me. And I sort of set off on a course, like studying love. And when that film came out, I became quite a bit obsessed with it, to the point of where a girlfriend actually bought me a bracelet, like a silver cuff. Then she had it custom made, and it inscribed that quote, that line, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. And it's one of those things where we take love for granted, right? We think that, oh, it's just going to magically happen one day when we meet this, mythical right person or this unicorn of a person. And it certainly didn't work out for me like that. And I know a lot of people, it didn't work out that way. And I think it's like a skill that most hone. I think those people that magically, do come together, early in life and stay together and are happy for decades together. I think it's one of those things where, you wouldn't expect to be Michael Jordan, or unless, you want to play basketball or, someone like an Oral Hershiser in baseball. So I think that this touched me so deeply because it says the greatest thing you'll ever learn to do, not, oops, I slipped on a banana peel and landed on my beloved. So it just really meant a lot to me that I could learn how to do love because I didn't really learn it in my family.
There you go. Thank you very much. That was lovely. Thank you. We're getting a lag, and your voice has stopped, but you're still gesturing. So I'm still watching you gesture your words, but your words stopped. Interesting. We do have quite a lag. Are you on Wi-Fi, by the way? Are you on a Wi-Fi connection, perhaps, where
Yes,
you are?
we are.
Yeah, that's probably the lag, but it's fine. It's fine. We're enjoying the anime. No, 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 it's fine. It's fine. We live and learn. Thank you. And now Matthew has picked a quote. This is one of the iconic quotes that I was thinking we didn't have today, and we do. The quote is from Chief Martin Brody, played by Roy Scheider. The movie, of course, is Jaws, 1975 thriller, and it's celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, very recently. 50th anniversary, directed by Steven Spielberg, based on Peter Benchley's 1947 Ford novel. A man-eating great white shark attacks beachgoers at a summer resort town, prompting Police Chief Brody to hunt it with the help of a marine biologist, Richard Dreyfuss, and a professional shark hunter, Robert Shaw. And Murray Hamilton plays a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. The line was ad-libbed by Roy Scheider. Did you know this, Matthew? But
Yeah.
do you know the backstory for the line? Do you know it?
I know parts of it, but I'd love to hear your
I'm
story.
going to read it. The screenplay writer Carl Gottlieb talked to The Hollywood Reporter, and he said, filming Jaws on the water made for a troubled production. The crew was working off of a barge that carried all the equipment and the craft services, that's food, plus a smaller support boat. The crew complained to the producers that the support boat was too small, which is how they coined the phrase, "You're going to need a bigger boat." Richard Zanuck and David Brown were, I'm quoting, very stingy producers, so everybody kept telling them, "You're going to need a bigger boat." It became a catchphrase for anything, anytime anything went wrong. If lunch was late, you're going to need a bigger boat. If the waves were rocking the camera, you're going to need a bigger boat. Now, Roy Scheider started sneaking this into the takes on the film. It wasn't in the script. It was never supposed to be there. One ad lib came right after Brody's first confrontation with the shark. His timing, and they had a wonderful woman editor named Verna Fields. She left it in the movie. And it became number 35 on the American Film Institute's AFI's top 100 movie quotes ever. Number 35. So now you know, I'm assuming you knew part of that. Matthew, why did you pick that for our topic today? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the first thing is it's just a great movie. I mean, it's just one of my favorite movies. It's something that if I ever see it on, I will watch it because there's a good moment and everything. But you mentioned what I love about that quote, which is it's an ad lib. It's something he thought up on the spot. Now, I didn't know all the backstory about, the craft services boat and all of that. But that idea of seeing the situation around you and just reacting to it and reacting in a way that's really successful. I mean, that's so much a big part of my own creativity and how we approach our work and working together. I mean, we're coaching together and we wrote this book together for all these years based on an accident. We're both networkers. We met in a business networking meeting. And Orna met this woman who was a massage therapist who happened to work at this spa in Hollywood. And she said, my boss wants to have these monthly talks, and we'd love to meet the two of you to, see if it'd be a good fit. So we went and took the meeting together. And we realized very quickly in the meeting, they assumed we were already working together and would be speaking together. And so we said yes, because We're trained actors, we're trained in improv. Say yes and figure it out later. So we get down to the car and we look at each other and say, well, what are we going to talk about? Because I had my own hypnotherapy practice. Orna was a manifestation coach, and we had never worked together before. So we were over 40 when we met, and we were both very intentional about creating love and creating a relationship. So we said, why don't we talk about how we created our relationship? And they said we could make an offer at the end of the talk. And so we put together a weekend workshop that we called Creating Love on Purpose. And who knew 17 years, 18 years later, we would still be talking about creating love on purpose. And the other stuff we did would fall by the wayside as this took over.
That is so lovely. That is so lovely. I took off the sound effects because I want to give Akiva next. And Matthew's mouth is still moving. But the audio is done. I want to give Akiva the opportunity to show some cordboard to us in a second. But I'm going to say, I love the story. I absolutely love the story. That was really, really beautiful. You had improv, yes, at Raise the Bar, right? I did improv. I had my own stand-up troupe years ago in New York, and I did a comedy show called What's So Funny with improv actors and all kinds of games. And it was just so I understand the concept. So it works in relationships, doesn't it? Sometimes it works really well. Thank you all for the quotes. I really appreciate the effort you made to bring interesting quotes. And I knew all of them, but not always all of the backstory. So let's go to the creativity statements, but you've all been expressing your creativity all along. Akiva, I'm going to read one of your statements, and then I'd like you to bring up a little bit, just play a little bit of cordboard for us, if you don't mind. But I think you're all going to get a kick out of this. Akiva says, I conceived of the idea for cordboard while swimming. I have a pool, and it's a good half hour of no external sensory input, just thinking. That's when the idea was conceived. Akiva, of all the years and all the guests I've had on that show, nobody has ever told me that a brilliant idea came to them while they were in their pool. That is a first. So I think I told you that in my notes. So I'd love to turn it over to you for just about 2 minutes. Can you bring up cordboard and give us an example, please?
Sure, I would love to. I want to just comment one thing really
Yes.
quick, if you don't mind, on what Matthew
No.
said. First of all, I think that's terrific. I love that story. I love the whole idea of creating love on purpose. Just a little anecdote on that line. My wife and I, we also met later in life. We combined our families, but the way that we met on J-Date, and my profile basically said, I want to become so close that we don't know which one of us is me and which one of us is you. And we created that on purpose, and we have a super close relationship because of that. So, I'm really sympathetic, and encouraging to the message that you guys give out. So that's terrific.
Thank you for that, Akiva. See, this is a show where we share. We speak with each other. It's a conversation, and you were just a perfect example of that. So thank you for that. Are you two smiling? Ms. Walters, Mr. Walters, there you are. They're smiling. Okay, their hands
All
up for
right.
you. Okay, good. Okay,
Awesome.
Akiva, let's get a little demo here. You got? There you
Okay,
go.
let's see. I'm going to share cordboard here. I apologize. I won't be facing the camera as I do this
That's
because
okay.
screen. But do you see it up on the screen there?
Yes, we do. And we can still see a little inset of you on the top of the screen. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. Perfect. So what cordboard does, actually, let me just tell you real quick to answer your question. I invented this thing while I was swimming, but there was a whole backstory to it before, that I was swimming, and I had started to play guitar. My wife encouraged me to play guitar. She says, what are you even waiting for? I said, I was waiting for until I retire. And she said, don't wait till you retire. And she encouraged me to start it. And I did. I picked up the guitar, and I spent about a year learning how to play, and took about a year before my fingers weren't hurting any longer, and that was really, really difficult. And then I said, I need to up my ante, so I want to learn music theory. So I spent another year learning music theory, and I quit many times. It was very difficult until one day this idea, I saw this diagram, and all of a sudden I saw the mathematics behind music. music theory. And once I saw the mathematics, the whole thing clicked. Everything kind of just fell into place. And I realized at that time that, this is something that's out of reach of most people in the world. Most people don't, have all of the time and the energy to put in to actually master an instrument. I had only gotten very small, way in a year. And the music theory was almost impossible to understand. And so that's when I was swimming one day. I have a half an hour, no distractions on anything else. And I was just lamenting over the fact that most of humanity is missing out on music, me included, for decades and decades. And then that's when the idea of chord board came into my mind. Bam! It popped in, all the mathematics came into place, and I realized that I could use technology to abstract music theory and abstract the aptitude, the dexterity, and the practice requirement and everything else, because it's all kind of converging once you understand what's going on behind the scenes. And then a person doesn't need to know that in order to basically use chord board. So I conceived of chord board, and the whole premise of chord board here is, you can hear my screen. Can you hear it?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm touching this with my finger. This is an octagon has 9 touch points. So with 9 touch points, I can create 9 different variations of a single chord. Okay, all with one finger. Now, once I add a second octagon, now I've got 9 plus 9, which is 18 variations of a single chord, all with one finger. But with 2 fingers, I can do basically 9 times 9, or 81 different variations of a single chord. Right? And then we add on a third octagon, and now we've got 27 touch points with a single finger, or with 3 octagons, 9 cubed, which is 729 variations of a single chord. So essentially, I can play, there's no chord I can't play. I can play, a D6 sus2 second inversion. You don't even need to know what that is. You can just go by the sound of it and find your way through a song. So with this software that I've created, which took a couple of years to create, you can basically create complete songs with this thing. So what I'll do, because we're very short on time, I'll just give you a quick, short demo. I'll just play a song that I created, which is essentially what I wanted to do, was demonstrate that you can recreate pop songs, and you can actually create your own pop songs on this thing. And this is Style from Taylor Swift. All of this is being driven, all the instruments are being driven by chord board. Except for the drum. The drums are separate. All of the instruments, the guitar, the piano, the pad, everything else is coming out of chord board. And that's the way that it goes. You basically can create their chords and just replay them. Okay. And anybody can do this. It only takes one finger to create all these different chords. People can do it who have disabilities, people who have PTSD, people who are professional musicians, children, teachers can teach it. Music theory can be taught with this thing. There's so many different applications to it. It's incredible. And I'm really, really excited to be releasing this software, which has taken about 2 years to develop. Be releasing the software towards the end of the summer. We're coming out with a new website, chordboardmusic.com, and very excited about it.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing. That was a great demo. You can stop sharing now, and we'll go back to full screen for all of us there. Got it? Wonderful. Let's give a round of applause. Let me see if I can, hold on, if I can get let's do this the right way. I'm going to go back to share. I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to go to computer audio, and let me get my sound effects up. You deserve the applause here. Let's get the applause. Where do we want? Which one? We're going to do a laughter applause. Here we go. There we go. That's an appreciation. We're going to get a gasp, and then we're going to get a cheers. Come on, you. Okay, it doesn't want. There we go. The Apple Music player is very fussy sometimes.
Take a bow. Thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Take a bow. There we go. That music player is a little funky sometimes. Thank you very much. I want to make sure we have time to go around the table. Orna, I'm going to your creativity statement number 2. I'm combining 2 and 3 because I like them together. So here we go. Orna says, and this is how do you create? What is your creativity about? You say, tapping into my creativity is a habit I've practiced throughout my life. In order to write, I turn off all distractions, everything that beeps or buzzes, and I opened the thesaurus and the Quillbot paraphraser tool on my computer. I have an app of binaural music mixed with ocean waves. Akiva, you're listening to that? I listen to with earbuds and I focus when I sit to write. I don't allow myself to do anything else. Thinking about writing is part of writing. And then you say, I have to be in the present moment by becoming aware of my breath and my body, the temperature of the room, the quality of the light, the colors in the space with me. I get grounded by becoming aware of my sensory experience. This is wow. Orna, I've never heard it explained in quite that detail. I was fascinated by this. So why don't you tell us a little bit more? What's your favorite part of all this? What works for you? Go ahead.
Well, I think just turning off the beeps and buzzes is essential today. I think we're all like, Pavlov's dog when the phone dings, you know what I mean? Oh, I gotta look. Oh, I gotta look. Oh, and I've worked really, really hard, especially over the last like 5 years, to not have that as a reflex, I mean, I leave that phone either off or in D&D most of the time. But I think a lot of that practice comes from my meditation practice, and also knowing that you're focusing on the breath. Every kind of meditation practice, I tried a lot of different ones, and every single one, no matter how you do it, has you focusing on the breath, because the mind doesn't want to be in the present moment. And so it's thinking about the past, or it's looking into the future. And that's the habit of our, big prefrontal cortex. But what happens in the moment in our body is our breath. Whether we're breathing out or breathing in, or just that pause, whether you're holding it in or out, whatever, but breath happens in the present moment. And so selling a book to a publisher and then delivering that book on a timeline is an amazing thing to have happen. And I'm so grateful that we had the opportunity to do that, and that to do it alongside my beloved husband also made it just spectacular, and to put our life's work into a book. But knowing that we were writing on a schedule meant, okay, I can't mess around here. So I think, part of that practice of knowing that I had to write from the present moment was just, I don't know if that would work for everybody. Like, I think it's fascinating. You said you've never heard it written. I know you've asked a lot of people about their creative process. I'm like, oh, wow. I don't think it's something I created, but maybe it's not something that works for everybody. Like,
Orna, where'd you go? Where did they go? They're gone. They'll come back. Did I drop them? I don't think so. Let's see if they come back. Okay. Akiva, it's just you and me, kid, for a couple minutes till they come back.
I was interested in that story. I want to hear
I
the end.
was too. I was too. I just went to gallery view and they dropped all of a sudden. I think they're on an iffy kind of a Wi-Fi. They're at somebody's house. They're on a book tour right now, so they're not in their home studio. So let's see if they come back. My goodness gracious. So let's talk to you about that. Akiva, are you aware when you sit down to do your chord board, and when you do any of your writing or your composing, are you thinking about the temperature of the room and the lights in the room and your breathing? Do you focus on any of that? Let's talk.
Well, as you can see from my background here, atmosphere to me is a big, part of the creative process. This room, I think I think what I'm going to do at some points is I'm going to assemble one of those time lapse type of things from all the different photos we've taken in my studio, because it really just started out as an empty room. When I first started playing guitar, there was basically a stool, a guitar, and me. And then I was like, okay, well, this would be something cool to add to the room, and this would be something cool. And then my wife, she painted one of my guitars, and she put this flame around it, and it was like, that was really cool to add to it. And we got something at Mardi Gras, and we got something from here and from there, and we've just basically added bits and pieces. I added some lighting to the entire environment, and now when I sit down to make music, I can just turn off all the white light, put on the various different colors, live within the atmosphere of what's being created, which is just a very, musical oriented, and, brain stimulating in a different type of way, brain stimulating environment, and then just quiet and start with one chord
Mm,
and find that chord that just fits. And that's where the chord board, really comes in. Honestly, if I look back on it, I kind of created the chord board for me so that I could create music, and it 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 solved every single problem that I ever thought I would ever have. And that's one of the things that I love about it. And it solves the problems that anybody who doesn't know how to play music has. So I can just start with one piece of music, one chord, find that tune that just hits just right, then add a second chord to that, find that tune that hits just right. No music theory needed, just one finger. And then once I've got that, now I can pick up my guitar and I can start just playing some solo over it very slowly because I'm not really that good, but I can play over something that just moves and melds and basically brings together, a Pink Floydy, the, Led Zeppelin-y type of, 70s, 80s, rock and roll vibe, which is, where, dating myself, that's where I grew up in. And,
that's
you
not
know,
dating yourself. That's just giving us some reference points. That's okay. Go ahead.
and feeling it come together, in the creation process. And I think that's really when I feel the most, really the most alive and the most creative is having created that sensual environment around me, and then flowing into it.
It's very nice. Thank you very much. They haven't come back. I have a feeling they were having a problem with their connection. I was thinking they would reconnect. So it's just you and me. So we'll go a few more minutes. I'm looking at your notes here, and you showed me about an album you created called Solarius with 14 songs, a trip through the solar system. I watched it, and if they don't come back in the next 30 seconds or so, I'm going to give you back the share button, if that's okay. Akiva, would you like to play a little bit of Solarius for us?
Well, I can't play it for you live here. I wasn't really prepared for that.
Can you
It
take
takes a
us to
little
the
bit.
website? Can you take us to the
I
website
can
and do it
definitely
there?
take you to the website. I can give you a little bit of backstory on it too, if you like.
Yeah, let me get rid of the computer sound here on my side of the control. Okay, the share is open. And why don't you go ahead and take us there? And if they come back, I'll welcome them back. And if not, I'll contact them afterwards. So
All right.
Akiva and Matthew, wherever, I'm sorry, Akiva's here. Orna and Matthew, wherever you are, you're welcome to come back. Go ahead, Akiva.
Okay, so let me bring it up. Just give me a moment.
If you're just tuning in, this is Read My Lips Cool Conversations with akaRadioRed. We lost two of our three guests. Nothing happened to them, but they had a difficult connection from wherever they were. And I'm here with the wonderful and very mysterious looking Akiva Shapiro, who is in his studio, which is just fabulous. And he's about to show us one of his part of his album called Solarius, a musical trip through the solar system. Akiva, tell me when you're ready.
All right, so okay,
You
let's
got it
bring.
on YouTube?
I got it right here. Okay, I got it on
Okay,
YouTube.
let's
Now
share.
I'll share.
Matthew is back. Hold on, let me get Matthew in. 1 second. Let's see if we got him. We'll still do it. Where is Matthew? There you are.
Our power died.
In the whole house.
Okay, well, hold on. Akiva's going to show us his composition, Solarius, and then don't go away. I'm glad you're back. Go ahead. And thank you
All
for
right,
coming back. Go ahead,
welcome back,
Akiva.
guys. So a quick story about Solarius, just so you know where it's coming from. When I first had the chord board programming done, I wanted to actually test it out and see, if it was everything I thought it would be. So what I did was I set myself out a goal of creating a whole album of songs, but every song would take me no more than 3 hours from start to finish, from conception to its completed recording, and all using the chord board. And so I used the chord board, and I used a Jupiter XM synthesizer. That was my, chord board was playing on the iPad. I had them connected, and I conceived of every single song. Some of them only took me an hour. Some of them took me, the full 3 hours. But the idea was to create this trip through the solar system, starting from the Earth and going all the way out to Uranus, and a look back on the Earth. And I called it Solarius. And so each planet has its own, song. One song is going to the planet, and the next song is passing the planet. So,
Akiva, we're running out of time, my dear. Can you just play a tiny bit for us,
okay, I'm going
please?
to
We'd
play a
love to
tiny
hear it.
bit of To Jupiter Pass.
Yes, please.
Okay, and here it goes.
Whoa. Oh, I hate to cut that off. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop the sharing there.
Of course.
Akiva, that was
Thanks.
just gorgeous. Orna and Matthew, did you have a chance to see that and hear it?
We did. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that was
pretty
great.
amazing.
That's really cool.
Very, very cool. Akiva,
Thank
that
you.
was wonderful. Thank you. You hired a graphics company, I understand, to do the graphics to go along with the music?
You know what? Every song, first of all, only took me 3 hours to create, but then I curated every single one of these the videos myself. Some of them with curated video, and some of them with curated AI video. This one doesn't have AI in it, but it was really a great experience doing all the videos myself as well.
Thank you so much. And Matthew, before we end, we got about 4 minutes left. I want to make sure we
Sure.
get one of your creativity statements so you don't feel left out. So here you go. Matthew says, and this is interesting, I'm comfortable with the bad first draft. I like to get something on the page and revise often. We're leaving music and talking about writing now. How bad is a bad draft? I've made plenty of my own, but how bad is it?
Well,
Go ahead.
you'd have to ask my wife how bad the bad first draft is. I think it changes depending on how much I get on the page. But we have an interesting writing process in that one of us does a first draft, we pass it to the other person, they do the second draft, and then we pass it back for a third and sometimes even a fourth pass before we feel like we've completed something. And when we were writing the book, like Orna said, we were on a deadline. And so we had a lot of writing to do. And I just thought, let me just get my ideas out for this chapter. Let me just, and without worrying about how concise or how, if I'm using the best words or the best language, let me just get the ideas on the page and get them in some kind of structure and some kind of order before I can get it to Orna so that we can keep moving forward on all the projects that we had. And I think sometimes people try to get it perfect. They try to get the right words. They try to think about, how do I really want to say this? And I'm just like, no, just get it out. Just get the ideas out on paper,
Yep.
and then you can always edit and edit and edit.
There you go. I'm doing that with my novel. I've been working on it for 2 years, and I made a some kind of a commitment to some part of myself, Orna. I don't know where, but that part is not going to hold me to it to get it done before October. So that's and I have a friend who said to me, I sent her some of my acrostics. I'm part of an online poetry group, and April and November, we get a prompt every day of the week, and I typically write between 3 and 8 poems a day, all during April and November, and I've been doing that for 3 years. So I have about 700 poems, and a friend said to me, let's put together all your poems and put them in chapters and make a book. And I said, not until my novel is done. There you go. Akiva's priority, right? We got to do priorities. So we're just about out of time. I just want to go around and find out. I don't usually do this at the end of the show before I do my closing, but just in one sentence, Akiva, what's the most important part of your creativity? What if somebody said, Akiva, bless you, Akiva Shapiro, you're a creative. One line of advice you would give to somebody. We don't usually give advice, but I'm curious because you've done so much. What's your one line of advice?
Be inspired by your wife. Be inspired by your spouse.
What if you're single? What if you're single? What do you do?
Oh, well, go find a spouse to be inspired by.
Oh, talk to Akiva. Talk to Orna and Matthew. Thank you very much. Orna, what's your one line of advice for creativity?
You'll never be ready, so just start.
Oh, very, very good. Okay. Matthew, what's yours?
Say yes to whatever opportunities come your way and figure it out later.
And yes, and was one of your buzzwords, your bywords for
Yeah.
creativity. I took improv lessons from somebody named Michael Gelman, who was part of Chicago Second City, and he was in Manhattan teaching. I also took stand-up comedy lessons from Steve Rosenfeld's American Comedy Institute in New York. That's what started me. And I had my own TV show called What's So Funny, and it was just a blast. But I remember, Matthew, it's not when you want to say, it's my turn, it's my turn. It's when does the room need you? And that's where that comes from, is being part of a creative collaboration where you sense what's needed next. I think we do that with our own creativity. What part of me is needed next? So Jordan is telling me we got 2 minutes left, which is plenty of time. So I'm going to read my closing, and I'd like you all to stick around for a couple minutes and we can talk. And I want to thank you all. So let me do this, and then I'll play the music and we'll go out. But don't leave. Okay, here we go. And by the way, we weren't able to live stream on LinkedIn because something happened with that, but we were live on 2 pages on Facebook and YouTube, which is the most important. And I'll send you all the links afterwards. So here we go. This was my closing in 2014. Orna, you will understand this better than anybody. It was the top 10 tips for women. I saved it in my notes. I have a lot of notes I've saved for my shows. And the top 10 tip was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. Okay, so there you go. And 10 years later, they made the movie. See, Akiva, everything comes around and goes around. There you go. And here's my final closing. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. Never. Kiss slowly. Always. Love truly. Laugh uncontrollably. Laugh with me, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Not bad. Not bad. We got a good one there. And never, ever regret anything that made you smile. Here we go. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. They all watched when I taught disco in a high school cafeteria on top of a table. I had a partner. Sing like nobody's listening. I didn't sing too much today. Love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart regenerate, regrow. Find a space and learn to love again. Money talks, chocolate sings, la. My chocolate is singing to me right now in the other room. Last but not least, I stole this line from somebody years ago. Thank you for turning me on. There you go. Thank you to Jordan, my engineer, and let's go out with the music, and here we go.
On Read My Lips Radio, producer and host, aka RadioRed, invites you to eavesdrop on her live, unscripted conversations with smart, savvy, creative people as she discovers what makes them tick, where they find their inspiration, when creativity first became their passion, and how their creative process can inspire the rest of us to think out of the box. Enjoy aka RadioRed's always lively, cool conversations with creatives. Yes. Oh, how those lips can talk.
There we go. Bye. Wave goodbye to social. There we go. We're going to do the sad